Howdy, y'all. My name is Michael, and today I'm going to be talking about Civil War. I just got done watching this movie in theaters, 2024. It's April 15th. This movie just came out. I've already heard a lot of positive press about this, a lot of good Facebook posts. Seems to be a very anticipated movie and one that people are really excited about, and one that there's just a lot of positive energy around this film, whether or not it's actually a positive energy type of film or not. In many cases, it's kind of dark. When my wife came home from work, I just had to go watch it. I just had this itch. I just decided, you know what? Let's go watch this movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that I was disappointed. Now, as somewhat of a politically charged individual as I am, the realm of a possible civil war, or kind of the events that surround this film, are certainly not without question. I mean, have we paid attention to the news lately? Since the dawn of human creation, war has been a fabric of who we are. You know, the United States of America was formed on a civil war between separatists, freedom fighters, whatever you want to call them, and British loyalists, right? And the British government. And then we have the American Civil War, which was primarily fought over slavery. Okay, now some people are going to be triggered, so I'll just move on. So what I've gathered from this film, no spoilers of course, is that there are four separate factions of government, as they were, or four separate factions of the United States. You have the Western forces, you have the Florida Alliance, you have the Second Republic of Texas and California, and then finally you have the Loyalist States, or formerly known as the Union, if you were, to compare it to the first American Civil War. Now, the film is super vague surrounding the events that kind of led to these alliances, as well as, how long this has been taking place leading up to this film. And really all we know is that the president has sought a third term and that bombs were dropped on American civilians. There are some subtle suggestions along the way that in the end we still don't really know a whole lot, And I did come back later and did a little bit of research after the fact, and I discovered that this was kind of intentional, right? That the writers and the director intentionally made this exceptionally vague. This is not a matter of red states versus blue states. It's not a matter of conservative versus liberal, Trump loyalists versus Biden loyalists, or back the blue versus Black Lives Matter, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's not even a matter of Eagles fans versus Broncos fans. It is incredibly vague, right? And it's by design. It's just Americans versus Americans. It could be for any number of reasons or a combination of reasons, okay? So therefore, I am not going to spend any more amount of time trying to rationalize it and go through the events, as some YouTubers have already spent 30 minutes or more trying to analyze it, right? It's pointless. I think that many people review films the way that they envision that they would have played out. And I think this ruse is why the writers paired up the California with Texas as an alliance, right? When thinking about how exceptionally vague this is. Because in our current system, in our current form of, politics, there isn't a whole lot of reasons why we would think that those two states would pair up. Overall, the cinematography is on point, okay? The story is well told from the perspective of the people who are living it. point of view perspective, I feel like the cinematography is just really there and on point. It's almost like you're in the action, like almost like a, platinum level combat film, right? When you think of, I hate to compare it, but when you think of like Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan, where you're kind of there and you're just in the action and you just feel it, that's how this feels, right? Of course, those are on a whole, I would agree that they're on a whole different level than this film is. But this film definitely is a really good film, a very good combat film. And I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't win some awards purely for that reason. Not only do you have the cinematography that's kind of on point, but you also have this overall sound design. Like you are immersed in this. There are points in the film where explosions go off, and I literally was shocked. Like it is not a lot of times that I get jump scared by TV shows, movies, etc. Like you anticipate that something's going to happen. It's just a boom, an explosion, and you're just like, whoa, what the heck? I wasn't expecting that, And then it does this thing where, at certain points, it'll just go completely silent. And then you hear a camera click. And that's what you get. Now, granted, there are points where it gets a little kind of slow and it's sometimes kind of pointless. Like there are certain scenes that I don't see how they added any value at all. This was what IMAX was about, right? When you think of an IMAX experience, there's so many films that I've seen. It mimics the sound of gunfire so well. It just nails it. It absolutely nails it. I've never felt that from a film. While I will say like the cinematography and the storytelling and the immersiveness of this was well beyond what I could have ever thought of. There were definitely some downtimes and things within the film that we could have probably used without. And I would say that while the writers kept this film exceptionally vague as to the current events and things that are going around it, around what's happening, I think that they also made the characters very vague too. It was kind of difficult to be immersed in the character development. I didn't really connect to anybody in the film either. So, while it nailed like the action part and the sound design and the cinematography and kind of like feeling immersed and feeling like, wow, you were really on the edge of your seat. And sometimes it was like emotionally, and the way it balanced, like the way you were emotionally involved. And then there were brighter moments where they had like large landscape views and you can see the lands, like it's almost like you're going through the mountains of West Virginia, or I should say just the landscape or the plains. And you're like, oh, this is so beautiful, America the beautiful, and then boom, you're in the middle of a war zone in the streets, urban warfare going on, and it's just super intense. Just oh my gosh, it's like so intense. And so while that has all of that going for it, I do feel like the vagueness made it vague, and you didn't really get invested in the characters. So when people died, it was just kind of like, well, that sucks, and you just kind of move on, or the fact that there was so much vagueness around it, it really harmed the whole concept, because once the film was concluded, I kind of felt unsatisfied in a way. I didn't feel like I had closure, because I really wasn't sure what the hell just happened. I sat through this almost 2-hour movie, right? And yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience, and I was well invested in it. And like, wow, it's crazy. It was so hyper real. But then at the end, you hit the credits, And you're like, okay, what happened? What was the point? What's next? We don't know. We have no idea. I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. And maybe I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.